Hi, it's Lethea from Farm View Creators. Today we're going to work on these super cute village houses from the Rust Covered Cottage by Christina. Comes in a set of three, all three different sizes. They reminded me so much of Rainbow Row in Charleston that's what I did my color themes with. This is one of my favorite places. I love going there. This set has a lot of pieces, but don't be intimidated. It is so easy to put together. It's easier to put together than the salt box house. So I'm going to do the roof pieces with Truffle, which is a mineral acrylic from Couture. I'm going to do one side of all of the house pieces with Couture's Van Dyke Brown Semi Gel Stain. Can also be used as a glaze. Just one pass over with my terry cloth sponge. A lot of times with 3D shapes, we'll go ahead and do both sides. This time I decided just to do one side. This kit does have a base for your house, and then there's an open spot in the back. You can see it on that piece where you can put candles or fairy lights or whatnot up in there. These are all of the chimney pieces. So I've got them on my sticky board. Going to use my makeup sponge to put 2 coats on each of these pieces. Now, when you get your kit, because you're going to love it so much you're going to have to get one yourself, there are 2 different sizes of chimneys. One of them is smaller than the other 2. The other 2 are the exact same. So be sure that you find the 4 small pieces. Okay, so there I am laying them up and kind of putting the smaller ones in a different pile than the others. I decided that I needed to go ahead and assemble the chimneys and get them good and dry before I tried to put them on the houses. So there you could see that one little piece was smaller. So I'm going to make sure that I have all the right pieces and I am going to fit it together like a puzzle. Okay, so you know I needed another hand there, but if you lay that base part down on your board and then build it up, it works much better. You do need to make sure that that little top notch there, that you don't press it down too far in the front because there's nothing to catch it. So I'm going to put glue, my art glitter glue is my favorite, on the outward notches where it pops out. And then press in the little puzzle piece on top of it. And there you go. That's it. Making sure everything's nice and square, and I'm going to sit it off to the side to dry and do the other 2. Art glitter glue works great for this because it gives you a little wiggle room. You'll see later I make a mistake, and I'm so thankful that I was not using something that sets up right away like stick fast or hot glue or anything like that, because it would have really messed up my project. Putting that base piece on, snapping the 2 sides, kind of holding them while I put the glue on those wings, and then fitting that 4th side on there, kind of cleaning up just a little bit of glue. It'll dry clear, so I'm not too worried about that, but I didn't want it to be just totally goopy. All right, these are the roof pieces, and you can see on 3 of them it has those little notches on the inside. That's where the chimneys go. So I'm using a small tipped dry brush and my soft beeswax from Sweet Pickins to go around the outside edge of all of these pieces and around the chimney and windows on all of them. Trust me, it's worth it. It takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. I am going to use Extra Bond and milk paint to put my color on, and then I'm going to sand away on those sides so that it looks distressed, and it's going to turn out beautiful. It's the little details that really add to your projects. So Extra Bond is a additive for paint from Sweet Pickins. It's mainly to help paint adhere to stubborn surfaces. However, with milk paint only, it will create the most beautiful crackle. You can mix it with your milk paint, or you can brush it on first. I prefer to brush it on first because I don't ever know how much I'm going to end up using. So I'm not crackling the top because I'm using Couture mineral acrylic paint, Truffle here, and it will not crackle with the Extra Bond. So I'm not going to crackle this at all. Just sand it down later. Because I want this piece to be kind of distressed and, you know, older looking, I'm only going to put 1 coat. Again, I'm going to sand all over, but especially the sides and around the chimneys to give it that more aged look. Okay, remember Rainbow Row? So here's the colors I chose. From the Real Milk Paint Company, I'm using Honeysuckle. From from Sweet Pickins, I am using Cheshire and Trellis Rose. I am not mixing up as much yellow as the other two because I'm going to use that on the smaller house. Yellow is not my favorite color, but I thought it would look perfect with these other two colors. You use a 1-to-1 ratio. I try to put in room temperature water first. I have 2 different scoops that I just saved out of like a collagen supplement container or something. And then another scoop for the color, and I'm just wiping them out I'm just wiping my little mini whisk out between, giving that a good stir, making sure I scrape it off of the edges on the bottom of the container. Let it set up for a little bit. That's key. I used to have some issues with milk paint. It didn't really like me, but we've come to an understanding. And if I let it thicken up, it does what I want it to do. So I'm brushing on the Cheshire first because it set up and was thicker than the other 2 colors. And I am just kind of brushing it on, not worrying about getting even coverage. Again, we're sanding. And I've put wax. You can see where the wax is resisting some. Had a little extra paint, so I just slapped on another coat, even while it was still wet. And then as you dry, you need to dry it, force dry it. If you force dry, you're going to have more crackle. You can see that crackle come through, and it is so gorgeous. I love the inconsistency of it. Here is the Trellis Rose, just a really lovely muted pink, and I am going to do the same thing. Just brush it over. Had a little extra, so I'm going back and brushing again. The yellow I'm going to do a little differently. Getting that nice and dry, and you can see if you watch carefully those areas where it was thicker, they're a little shiny, but that's okay. It has really great crackle and texture there. The yellow, I could already tell when I put on the first coat that I was going to need to put on multiple layers to get the color that I wanted. The Van Dyke brown was showing through too much for my taste. If I had used a lighter stain, it may not have taken so many coats, but I ended up with 4 coats, and I did dry them in between. And at first I didn't think it was crackling, and I was like, oh my word, is it because it's a different brand? But it did crackle. It just did a much finer, smaller crackle that is really lovely. Getting all that dry. Look at that, so pretty. Then I'm going to get my hand gator and give those a dry. I was cleaning out some gooped up paint with my little Cricut weeding tool, giving all that a sand, especially around the windows and the sides and edges, and just going to town. And then I'm going to wipe all the dust off, and I'm going to go in with my Sweet Pickins dark oil wax. And I'm really working it with my big brush down into those crackle grooves and into the lines where I sanded. And I'm going to put that to the side and let it set for a little while. I let the yellow set the least amount of time because I did not want it to get too dark and dingy. I still wanted to see the yellow, but it turned out so well. I'm really liking it, even though it's yellow. I'm just wiping back all those other pieces and finding my 2 smaller roofs. I have this pipe and post level that I used on the Saltbox house, and it really helped. I thought it was going to help on this, but honestly I didn't need it because this one has a base plate to work off of. So I'm lining up all my pieces and laying them out how they're going to go. In geometry, if you take a 3D shape and visualize it spread out, it's called a net. So I'm making a net with my pieces, cleaning out all those grooves. Kind of felt like a dental hygienist cleaning teeth with all of the picking I was doing, but you want your grooves to be nice and cleaned out so that they fit together crisply. So once I had that, I'm getting everything lined up, and then I am going to put my art glitter glue on those tabs that are sticking out. And I am going to do 2 of the pieces and realize that I had that set the wrong way, so it's okay. I just added a little more glue where I actually needed it. Pop 1 piece on, make sure it's 90-degree angle, make sure that it's nice and tight in those grooves. Hold that one side, pop that other side on. It's like snapping together those like magnet 3D shapes that they have now for kids. I love those. And then I'm going to pop that third side on. I always pop on the right-hand side and then the left-hand side. And there you can see it with 3 sides. This last side is going to be the trickiest, but it's not tricky at all, I promise. So I'm just putting all the sides on, getting that bottom first, popping on the right, popping on the left. There you have it. There I'm just making sure that everything is nice and tight and that it is 90-degree angles. Just kind of squeezing that together to make sure that it's nicely adhered. And then we're going to work on the roof. So I was trying to look at it and see there is a proper way to put the roof on. If your 2 peaks don't meet, just flip them, okay? I had to clean out a little bit more there. And I wanted my chimneys to not all be on the same side of the houses, if that makes sense. So I was really conscious of which side of the house I was putting those. So if that gap at the pitch is too wide, or it's like at a true gap, you've got the roof wrong way, just flip them around. And then I put that top piece on, going in with a chimney. I just grabbed one. I thought I grabbed the right one, but look at all the force I'm having to use. It should not be that hard to put this chimney on there. And I forced it in there. You can still see that there was a gap. And I'm like, I just don't think so. And then I was like, wait. One of them was smaller. Oh my. Luckily, I used art glitter glue and I could pop that thing right out. No damage, nothing. Then look how easy the correct chimney goes in. So easy. I mean, that looks so much better. Just holding that pitch together. And then I was like, okay, I've already got glue on this chimney. Let's go ahead and put the chimneys on. Then we won't have to worry about that. So you just fit it into those lines, and that bottom of like the slanted sloped pieces, it goes down in that larger rectangle. It sticks through just a tiny bit. So now I'm doing the same thing with my pink. Cleaning off the back side on these because they were kind of goopy, and just cleaning out any corners and all of that, and laying out my net to see how they're going to fit together. And then on this one, I was like, okay, I know how to do this. I'm going to go ahead and put glue on all the pieces. I don't recommend it. It was very messy. And I'm a messy crafter to begin with, so if I say it's messy, it's really messy. I ended up having to wipe glue off of places that I didn't really want glue on my house. But popped in that first to make the first 90-degree angle, and then popped on the back, starting at the bottom, then the right, and then the bottom, the right side. And that one I had to tweak a little bit, and it's okay. See all the mess? And then just trying to make sure that all of those grooves, I call them tongue and groove, are all lined up and snapped together. Getting that last side, cleaning up a bit. And then I'm looking at my other yellow house to see, well, where did I put the chimney on that one? And thinking about how I want to set these out to see what side I want the chimney to be on. And then just snapped those in, put the glue on the tab, snap it on. And then doing the same thing with the other side. I put a strip down the pitch. That is not necessary, but I thought it might help a little bit. I don't know. Maybe if I stood there and held it till it dried, it would have helped, but it's okay. On one of them, I can't remember which one, I did put one side of the roof on incorrectly, and it was really easy just to flip it around. It was very apparent that it was the wrong way. So the green, I love so much. I let it sit with the wax on it the most because I felt like it could kind of take more of an aged look. So I'm back to just putting glue on 2 of the sides and the base, popping the bottom, snapping the side. And just making sure that it's nice and tight. You can kind of put your fingers in those windows to hold it. And then getting that next side on, putting glue on all of the tabs that stick out on the piece that we've already started building and the new side, snapping the bottom, snapping that side. And then the same thing for that last side. Putting glue on all of those outward tabs, on the piece that we're building and the new side. Snapping the bottom, snapping the right side, and then snapping the left. Just making sure that it's all nice and tight, and then getting that roof on there. And as you can tell, it didn't really matter that I did not stain the inside because you can't really see it. I think the only place you really can tell is when you're looking through the hole in the back that you use to put stuff in the houses. But who is going to look there anyway? Putting that strip of glue, holding it for a minute while it sets up. And then I got some fairy lights from Amazon. It's a 6-pack, and those are so pretty. There you can see all the sizes and colors. They have a remote, and they do all kinds of twinkles. So it came with extra batteries and batteries inside. And I thought I was just going to use 3, 1 strand for each. I stretched them out, not straight or anything, just kind of in a tangle, and then tried to push them up into each of the houses. Had to work a little bit more on that greenhouse because it is the tallest. And after I had them in there and on, I stepped back and I was like, okay, the green one needs another strand. So just pulled another one out, got that one in, kind of pushed one higher than the other, but I wanted both of the little battery parts down at the bottom. So there they are. They're so cute. I love them. I mean, how cute. So reminiscent of my childhood and Rainbow Row in Charleston. I love it, and the crackle turned out amazing. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Let me know which color is your favorite. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.